What does the July 17th new moon have in store for us? Come and join me and let's find out. Stacy the Black Feather Intuitive. Welcome to New Moon Musings for July 17th. And what does this fabulous Cancer moon have in store for us? I can't wait to pull some cards and see what we got coming up. So if you're new to me, keep watching, and I have a little segment that'll tell you how to make the most of this particular new moon cycle reading for yourself. If you're old hat at it, go right ahead and click to the soul card and we'll get started. So here's how the new moon musings reading works. In the new moon, we have different cycles and phases of the moon. We have the new moon, the waxing crescent, the first quarter, waxing gibbous, full moon, waning gibbous, last quarter or third quarter, and the waning crescent. The first part of the new moon cycle is the waxing cycle. So we have waxing gibbous, waxing crescent. What does waxing mean? Waxing is the energy of, at the new moon, we are deciding what we want to work on, and the waxing is putting the action into what we're trying to create, what we're trying to achieve, a project that we're trying to complete. And then the waning part of it comes after the full moon. So you have new moon to full moon, that is the waxing. And then the waning is the full moon to the next new moon. And it doesn't mean that there's no action involved in the waning. It just means you're more reflective about what's going on. You're paying more attention to what action was put in, and is it working for us, and do we need to tweak the process as we are working to connect the dots and find the completion to that particular cycle. Each of these phases of the moon represents a different energy that each of us is experiencing in the collective as well as individually. So what you can do is watch the entire reading once all the way through to get the overarching energies for this particular new moon cycle. And then throughout the phases of each moon, you can come back and review each of those phases. Now, it's not an exact science. I read it as though we have basically three days, 2.5 to 4 days. So take the average in the middle, 3 days in each phase. But the moon is a bit temperamental, and so sometimes you can be in one phase and lasting a little longer in that phase, and maybe the next phase will be a little bit shorter. And for your neighbor, it might be the exact opposite. So it's important for you to really tune in and recognize where you're at energetically when you're tapping into these. So check out the timestamps below when you're watching this reading, anytime after you've taken in the full message and the full energy. All right, so our July 17th new moon is in Cancer. And what does this mean for us? Cancer, the crab, water sign, feelings, emotions, sensitivities, homeward bound, connection to that nurturing aspect. So this new moon is going to bring about an opening in terms of how we're feeling about our own home environment, how we're feeling in general about where we're going and growing. And it's going to open us also, I want to say, to a little bit of tenderness. And it doesn't feel like it's the kind of tenderness that comes from pain. It feels more like the tenderness that comes from a recognition of the oneness that we all are in. We are all one. We are all connected. And so there's a tenderness of the heart that occurs when we have that recognition or that realization. All right, so our new moon is actually happening at 2:32 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that is really important. I want you to sort of put that on the back burner for yourself, because there's something significant about that I'll get to later on in the reading. But here we're going to start with our soul card, and today I'm pulling cards from the Wizard's Tarot from Barbara Ann Moore, or Barbara Moore. Actually, I think it's Barbara Moore. And then we're also pulling an affirmation from the Star Seeds from Nari Anastasia. So let's see what we got for ourselves for our soul card. And of course, the soul card is connected to what collectively we are going to be growing into, what we're going to be experiencing. And oh, beautiful, we've got 10 of Cups. So 10 of Cups is really, I want to say, all about satisfaction, joy, arriving at a wonderful concept. It's the ideal. So a lot of times this card is depicted with family and a home. And, I always like to say, like, the home with the 2-car garage and the white picket fence. And of course, that is not everybody's ideal, but in the traditional tarot at the time that was. So that's what is depicted. So picture anything that is the ideal concept, the ideal vision, the ideal outcome of a situation. That's what's going to happen. And so I feel like for our soul card, when we are, sort of stepping into this particular new moon cycle and all of the things that we can do in this cycle, it's important to get very clear on what that vision is. So I feel like this is not coming through to say, pack it in, we've arrived. But I feel like this is an opportunity to say, what exactly is it that we are trying to seek as a collective? And, all of us individually have our own opinions. We have our own, personal individual goals. Ultimately, what I would say here is make the focus be on what is going to be for the highest and best of all involved. What is going to bring the collective the most joy, the most positive experience, the most opportunity to grow in ways that are, I want to say, impactful on the collective at large. So individual growth that positively impacts the collective at large. So that's what we're kind of getting started with, which is exciting. All right, now we're going to our new moon. And like I said, the new moon is at 2:32 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it's connected to Cancer. 8 of Pentacles. So this new moon, there's going to be a lot of work. There's going to be a lot of attention to detail. And I feel like not only is this going to be, I want to say, sort of an internal focus for each of us, I feel like sort of collectively we are going to recognize where the work needs to get done, where we need to be more, I want to say, more particular and more focused on bringing this ideal and this vision to life. The beautiful thing about the 8 of Pentacles is, I'm a Virgo, so of course it's a beautiful thing because it's a Virgo card. I jest. It is a Virgo card, but that's not the reason. The beautiful thing about this is that when we are in a space of creation, when we are in a space of motivated drive, like we're working towards a vision, the work and the effort that goes into the preparation of that is joyful. It's not work like, oh my God, I'm trudging through the trenches and this really sucks and I can't wait for it to be over. It's more like getting lost in the production of it, and you're actually enjoying the process of it. Not that everyone enjoys the tiny little minute details of everything, but when you are in that creative flow that is getting you to an ultimate goal, there can be this energy of, oh yay, like I'm motivated to work towards this, and this feels really good because I'm being productive, I'm getting something done, and oh, I'm also really envisioning how amazing this is going to be on the other side of it, how amazing it's going to be for others, what others are going to get out of my creation, or how this is going to benefit the people around me, how this is going to benefit the company, or to benefit my life, or to benefit the lives of my family and friends. So there's a real, I want to say, sort of not altruistic, but there's sort of a sense of camaraderie or an excitement at being able to involve other people, or what other people are going to receive as a result of your brainchild and your hard work. So in the collective this month, I feel like I said, not only is it an internal drive, but I feel also very much that, like from a work perspective, your boss is going to be driving you, the team is going to be driving you. And when I say driving, I don't mean like, I mean like, okay, like we're so close, or we're on to something. Let's move forward with this. Like, this is really good. And what do you need to make this happen? So I feel that there's a lot of productivity in the energy of that new moon. So when you're sort of manifesting and sort of in that waxing cycle, I feel like there's a lot of reason, you'll have a lot of reason to get excited to move forward. And let's pull an affirmation to see what can support us during this time. Ooh, interesting. Guidance. You are not alone. You are guided by masters and teachers of the highest realms. So definitely feeling here that when we're talking about the Eight of Pentacles, like I said, there's an internal drive, there's internal guidance that's coming through, and there's also going to be an external motivation, an external sort of reason or purpose or overarching mission, and you're going to receive guidance around it. So I feel like that affirmation is really going to support you, that, okay, I don't have to panic about all this. I'm feeling good about it. And sometimes we can kind of monkey mind it and be like, oh my God, there's so much work to do. And, I just worked, 10 hours straight on this. And yeah, I feel good, but wow, I still have more to go. It's stepping into the guidance of, okay, don't worry about all of that stuff. Just really focus on what you're guided to do right now. Ask for the help. Ask for the next step, because it will be given to you. Okay, now we have our waxing crescent. And I forgot to say with the new moon, it's happening on July 17th and it's lasting till about the 20th. So our waxing crescent is happening on the 21st and it's going through to the 24th of July. And I'm just kind of feeling the word hope coming through, but I'm also hearing the word and I'm also hearing the word fortitude. So have hope, but I want to say not brace for impact, but sort of, be strong, access a lot of that inner strength, because there still is a lot of work to do. Oh yeah, Seven of Wands. So Seven of Wands often is considered a card of defense. I'm seeing it here as more like you're casting a wide net. You're putting out a lot of different feelers. I feel like a lot of us are going to be seeking information. We're going to be seeking the next right step or the next right angle. And it's not going to be super obvious how that comes through. So as you can see in this depiction, we're seeing the back of the wizard, and he's either waiting to receive a lot of these wands, or he has cast them out to go out and find some things to do. And so again, typically it's read as a card of defense, and these wands are coming at him. What I feel is he has already sort of thrown out there, I need some assistance, I need some help, I'm not quite sure what direction to take, and he's receiving back a lot of different options. And these options are not necessarily I feel like they're coming at us pretty quickly, and they can be a bit overwhelming in the way they come through. I want to say just breathe through it. Take each option one at a time and feel into whether or not it's the right thing, whether or not it's the thing that is going to actually help you to achieve your goals. So you've asked for the help, and now you're being given different options. And not every single one of these options is going to really work. It's kind of like when you throw out on social media, you ask a question about, does anyone know about this or anyone know about that? And you get so many different perspectives. And some of those perspectives are super helpful. Some of those perspectives are unexpected. Some of those perspectives are, okay, why did you even bother commenting? Like, clearly you just needed a little bit of attention today, right? So for you, it's just a recognition that, well, thanks for responding. At least I know that it's not crickets, right? I'm not hearing the crickets when I've asked for something. You will be given what you need, and you may have to sort through what you're given in order to find what that next right sort of path is. Okay, very cool. All right, so now we're at our first quarter moon, and this is happening on July 25th, going through to the 28th. Our second 10. So we've got a 10 of Wands. 10 of Wands is rewards and the burdens that go with those rewards. I like to call this card the sort of the spiritual cleaning out of the closet, or sometimes a physical cleaning of the closet. So when we're talking about 10 of Wands here with the first quarter moon, especially with all of this sort of the work that's going into it, and we talked about, the 10 of Cups being our soul card, working on the ideal vision of what we're trying to create and co-create together as a collective. Now this is saying, all right, well, if you're going to do that, you need to, and because you've received all of these interesting options in your life and in your world, now you have to actually really pay attention to what you have room for. And I keep hearing the word commitment. So I feel like in the first quarter, you're really going to be in a space of, what do I actually have room in my life to commit to? This can be from an energetic perspective. What do I really have the energy to devote to? Like, I'd love to be able to say yes to this, but it might not be the right time. And really saying, what is it that my heart really wants to commit to and my soul really wants to commit to right now? Because those two things may not be in alignment with what's actually what you're committed to in your life as it stands right now. So I'm definitely feeling that there's just a lot of energy in this first quarter moon around evaluating where your energy is going, and is that appropriate to what's coming up for you, what you're leaning into, what your guides want you to lean into, what your soul is stepping into the mix with. And keep in mind, sometimes when we are faced with these options or these decisions, it can be a bit uncomfortable, because sometimes we are invited to let go of things that we personally aren't 100% ready to let go of. And so there can be a lot of confusion around, wait a second, this is going well and I'm enjoying it, so why do I have to let this go? To make room for that. Like, I'm enjoying this. Keep in mind that it always is happening for you. And so you may decide, okay, I'm going to stay put, and your guides are like, okay, she's not trusting in the process. She's not believing that she's letting this go, but we have so much more that's coming in that's going to incorporate that or be like way better than that. And so we'll let her have this, and then suddenly the thing that has been really good starts to turn a little sour. It's like the milk turning sour. So be prepared for that. I want to say, anything that's coming up in your space that is connected to evaluating commitments, and something that comes up to you that you're like, oh, I think I'm going to have to let this go, but I don't want to. I encourage you to sit with that and really understand that chances are it's at its peak right now. It's at its best. So savor it, because we don't want to overstay our welcome. We don't want the milk to sour. Just keeping that in mind. And then our affirmation for this particular time, oh, beautiful, love. Live your truth and share the love that is in your soul. So I feel like when we're talking about the 10 of Wands, our guides are basically saying, we're doing all of this because of love, because of our love for you, because of the frequency of love that your soul is ultimately trying to achieve, trying to reach, so that ascension process and that awareness, the higher consciousness journey can occur. And it all happens through the frequency of love, not the feeling of love, the frequency of love. So live your truth and share the love that is in your soul. Notice that it's not talking about the heart, it's talking about the soul. So we are definitely on a soul journey this month, and the heart's involved, but really we've got a lot of wands that are sort of coming up and coming through in the mix, and that's always sort of an indication of soul connection. soul space. All right, so now we are at our Waxing Gibbous, and that is the 29th through the 31st. Oh, okay. I was starting to pull another card out, and the other one was like, no, it's me, it's me, it's me. I love it when they talk to me like that. Oh, the Magician's been coming up for me like crazy, so I'm not surprised that this is showing up. It's speaking very loudly. It's very mercurial. Okay, so during this particular period of time, we have the Magician, which invites us into what is it that we're manifesting? What is it that we're co-creating? And I feel like the Magician is coming through right now to give us a big kick in the butt. During this time, so what did I say? I said our Waxing Gibbous, the 29th through the 31st, so the very end of July. As we're wrapping up this month, sort of the calendar month, the Magician is coming through to say, get your ducks in a row. It's time to pick up the pace. It's time to get out of your head a little bit from the perspective of too much going on and not really sure that those directions. You know, I feel like he's saying, listen, you just went through the 10 of Wands, you just cleaned out the closet, or you know what you have to clean out. This is saying, now give me what you've cleaned out, or give me the space to move and to what, you know, what's left, because that's what we need to work with. I feel like the Magician is coming through to give everyone a really swift butt kick. So don't be surprised if in the last couple of days of July you're feeling, I don't feel like it's going to be negative necessarily, but it's going to be driven, and it's going to be one of those things where, okay, you've had your fun and now it's time to get serious. It's time to get down to business. So anything that you have, I want to say, any plans that you have to maybe you're like, okay, I'm going to, you know, beg off work early. I'm going to do this or that or the other thing. You're going to realize, oh, wait a second, there's a pile of work that's just shown up, and it's actually just easier for me to do it now and maybe take the extra day on the opposite side, or sort of postpone by a week. And I feel like that's really all it is you're just postponing by a few days. It's not like you have to put off your fun for months at a time. It just feels like this is going to be one of those things where whatever your plans are for fun, it's not that you're not going to be able to do it, but I feel like you're going to have to fit it in around work, or it's not going to go quite the way you want it to. And that's because the Magician is coming in to say, listen, we have to harness what we've got right now. We can't let this go to waste. We can't let this blow away. Because if you pass up this opportunity, or you don't take advantage of it, what you're going to create isn't as potent, or what you're going to experience isn't going to be all that you can experience. So the Magician, I feel, is coming through to kind of say, now is not the time for funny business and monkey business. Now is the time to really be focused on what you're creating. I also want to say, from that mercurial perspective, it can be very like rational and logical. This is what you need to do. You know you need to do it, so just do it. So you're going to feel a little bit of that energy. I feel like maybe tough love, not so much love and compassion coming around you, more so okay, whatever you're feeling or thinking right now, that's all fine and good, but this needs to be the focus. We can deal with your feelings later. So not to spiritual bypass. This feels very much like in the moment when you're trying to, you're laughing and joking, having a good time, and the boss comes in and says, I'm not finding it funny right now. You can laugh at the lunch table. Right now, this is what we need to focus on. So I feel like we're on a mission. That's kind of the energy of what I get with that. Okay, so now we are at our full moon. Dun, dun, dun. Actually, I should say drum roll, please. Because I feel like this full moon is actually going to be pretty powerful. And so let's talk about the full moon for a quick second. It's happening on August 1st at 2:32 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Didn't I tell you to remember that? I had to triple check it because I thought that I had made a mistake when I was looking all of this up. Our new moon and our full moon are happening at exactly the same minute, not the same day obviously, but exactly the same minute during its day of becoming. So that's very significant. And 232, so let's break down 232. So numerologically, when we break it down, it's a number 7. So we already had a 7 of Wands, which I think is really important. 7 is the number of divinity. It's the number, if you've heard me talk about the analogy, it's the prototype that's been created before you put it into mass production. It's the time to tweak anything that's going on, because once it's in mass production, it's a lot harder to fix mistakes and to add things into the mix and all the rest of it. So this is the time to really evaluate and dot your I's and cross your T's. Also the 2-3-2, it's partnership, pairing, union, togetherness. There's a creation that is occurring to bring about more togetherness. And I was talking earlier about the oneness of our collective, and that is sort of the energy that we're bringing into this cycle. So the 232 was just a really weird, fun, awesome coincidence / synchronicity, right? So I just wanted to point that out. Okay, so the full moon is actually called the sturgeon moon or the green corn moon, and it's all about abundance and sometimes the cloudiness that can occur when there's so much. So there's a bit of a lack of clarity we're trying to sort through. The reason why it's called the sturgeon moon is because all of the little sturgeon fish are all over the place. They're everywhere. And they're like, the schools of fish are so full that you can't see through them, and it's almost like you can't even tell what's transpiring. So that's why there's going to be a bit of a cloudiness or a sort of a murkiness to what you're able to see through it, and it's because there's so much to digest. There's so much to take a look at. So the tendency with this full moon can be overwhelm. So you want to just really understand, wait a second, the abundance is here. Let me just allow the abundance to sort of settle a little bit. Let me see what is here for me before I sort of take that next step and decide to dive on in type thing. Okay, so here's our card. Oh, interesting. Knight of Swords. So Knight of Swords is a great card for exactly what we're talking about in terms of that sturgeon moon, because the Knight of Swords cuts through the BS. It's exactly what the Knight does. The Knight is like, well, the Knight of Swords. He's all about his mission, or the energy of the Knight of Swords is all about the mission. It's kind of like, I'm super passionate, I'm super pumped up about this. You've given me a great idea, you've given me a goal to work towards, and I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna do it to the best of my ability. As you can see here, this particular knight is in motion. They're in motion. They have the assistance of their horse, so they are on I want to say transportation from point A to point B. They're on a mission, and they're leaping over obstacles. So any obstacles that come your way, you're going to be able to leap over them in this full moon. Here's the catch. Sometimes those obstacles actually have something to show you, or something to teach you, or something that you might need on the journey. So the Knight of Swords sometimes can be, I want to say, a little bit impulsive, and I'm hearing the word reckless, which actually is typically more Knight of Wands, the sort of the shadow aspect of the Knight of Wands, but I'm hearing the word reckless here. So don't be reckless. Understand that you are moving forward, and it's okay to move forward, but also really pay attention. Before you leap over that obstacle, take a look at it first. Examine it before you decide how you want to approach it. So it's kind of like, rather than you see the mountain or the rock in your space, and instead of automatically going around it or going over it, you say, wait a second, let's just stop. I'm going to get off the horse for a second and just sort of evaluate why this thing suddenly is in the middle of my path when it wasn't expected, or it's not normally there. So evaluate it, examine it first. Yes, you're going to be able to overcome the obstacle regardless, but there may be some information for you there that is important to your next phase of the journey. So in this new moon cycle, I feel like it's very, very important that you not be so in motion and so, I want to say, determined that you overlook what's right in front of you. So that's a big one. That's important. All right, we're gonna pull an affirmation to support. Vision. Trust in your ability to create the vision in your soul. Ooh, I like this one. Okay, so the Knight of Swords obviously is on a mission to achieve the vision. And I want to say to you, when we're looking at this affirmation, trust in your ability to create the vision in your soul. It's kind of like saying, I know the vision's there. It's not going anywhere. I've written it out. I've sat in it. I'm eating, breathing, drinking, sleeping it. I'm on my way to it. But maybe it's not about getting there so quickly. It's not about trying to get there so fast because you're afraid you're going to lose it. Or that it's not going to be there when you get there. There's no urgency here. There's no real sense of time or real sense of something that you're losing or you're missing out on if you don't get there quickly enough. So I feel like it's an important message to kind of recognize the vision's going to be here. So I can take my time. I don't have to be slow about it, but I also don't have to get there at all costs, and throw caution to the wind. That's not what it's about. Okay, now we have our Waning Gibbous. And so, the Waning Gibbous, the waxing, of course, is the momentum and the movement forward and a lot of action. And the waning is more reflective. And again, not that you're not doing stuff during the waning, because you are moving through things. It's just the intensity of it is a little bit less. There's a little more reflection in what has already occurred. That's what I'm focusing on. So, interesting. We've got our second sword here. We've got the 5 of Swords. I think it's our second sword, yeah. Actually, the Magician has the sword in it as well, but it has all the elements. So yes, this is our second sword. So 5 of Swords. 5 of Swords is a card of conflict. What I'm feeling is the impulsivity of the Knight of Swords that you may or may not have listened to the message on and taken steps to look at the obstacle before you overcome it, so that you can glean from it what is there. I feel like the 5 of Swords is inviting you then to kind of take a little bit of a break, to recognize that whatever information you gleaned from the obstacle, now it's like, okay, how do I incorporate this? How do I use this and make this work for me? And I feel like this is more internal conflict than it is external conflict. And I feel like you're going to be presented a little bit with something that you weren't expecting 100%, or it's showing up in a way that you need a little bit of time to kind of make sense of it and to kind of wrap your head around it. So along with that message of don't be in such a rush or don't be in such a hurry, I feel like the 5 of Swords is coming in as well to say, there may be a little bit more to this, and it's okay if you take a little bit of extra time. You don't want to always be in a space of conflict and dis-ease. I feel like that's what's happening, is there's a lot of dis-ease within the body. And I just heard the word resistance. I feel like any dis-ease that's coming through the body is because you might be resisting the process. You might be resisting divine timing, or you might even be resisting the divine order of things. So 5 of Swords is coming through to say, you know what? The shifting and the changing is here, and you're only making it worse for yourself by resisting what is. So I want to say, really get into the space of being more in flow. When I look at this card too, we've got one guy who's sort of tied to a tree. He's got a sword next to him. He could very easily grab the sword and cut him out, but he's waiting for the right time. And then there's this, beautiful woman who's, sort of laying back. It's kind of like, it almost looks like she's waiting to kind of get her head chopped off, although usually they're in the reverse position. And then you got this, magician or this trickster coming and taking all the other swords. But you can also look at it as he's coming through and he's basically walked through the field and seen them, and while he feels that it's not his responsibility to untie because he doesn't want to get in trouble with whoever tied them up or whoever put them in this situation, but he's the one who left them a couple of swords. So the Five of Swords is here to help you. And it's not necessarily going to be the kind of help where it gets done for you, but it's the kind of help where you can help yourself. He gives you a tool to be able to help yourself. So, like I said, the guy, he can easily just kind of take his hands and, he's going to cut himself a little bit, because he'll be grabbing the blade of the sword, but he'll be able to cut himself out of those ropes. And for her, she's just looking up to the sky. She's just kind of tired. But her hand, all she has to do is just pull her hand back a little bit and she's got a sword there and she can go and help him too. So there's a lot of energy around that internal struggle and really paying attention to what external help is coming, or the internal help from your guides is coming. It's not going to show up in the way of, everything's done for me. But it's definitely going to show up in a way that gives you an out or gives you another option or direction. So keep that in mind. All right, now we are at our third quarter moon, and this is August 8th to the 11th. I don't know if I said the Waning Gibbous is the 4th to the 7th. So our third quarter is the 8th to the 11th. And we've got another sword, Two of Swords. So Two of Swords is, and I think we had no, we didn't have another two. So I was thinking direction somewhere, but I think that was in another video that I made this morning. So there you go. Two of Swords. So when we're talking about this third quarter, we're getting ready to sort of wrap up this cycle. Two of Swords is coming through to give you some more intuitional time out. It's exactly what I'm hearing, intuitional time out. So during this third quarter moon, I want to say to you, it's really taking the time out to quiet the monkey mind, to unbusy your schedule. So obviously when you go into work, you might have 10 things to do or 12 things to do. Whittle it down to 3. For that day, and just focus on those 3. The rest of it will be there. So I feel also like at home, this is also a time to check out a little bit, to, if you got kids or a partner that, where you're needing to be in each other's space all the time or having conversation. It's kind of saying, you know what, I'm checking out for an hour. I'm going to go for a walk for an hour. Oh, you want me to come with you? Actually, I need to do it on my own. Or telling the kids, you know what? The sign is on the door. Unless the house is burning down, I'm not doing anything for an hour. I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to see anything. I don't want to know anything for an hour. So really take the opportunity to sort of check out, because I feel like what's going to happen is there's a restoring of your reserves, a restoring of the energy of your reserves that's happening. And I feel like energetically, collectively, there's going to be something that sort of transpires throughout this time period that also lends itself to just breathing, just relaxing, recharging, not having so many things to do, or, as we were talking about, not the urgency, but like the motivation, the drive that we've had at the beginning of this cycle, in the middle of this cycle. This is now saying, you know what, I'm going to make some time for my intuitive guidance. I'm going to make some time for just reconnecting with me, because there's a recharge that is needed. If you don't take that recharge, I feel like it's not going to be pretty. So I'm also hearing this is not negotiable. Wow, our guides are really snippy today. We had the Mercurial Magician, and now the guide saying it's not negotiable. So, this would be a perfect time to plan vacation during this time. What did I say? 8th to the 11th of August. Plan some vacation. Don't be in a space where 50 million people are needing you. be in a space of recharge as much as you can be. And your affirmation, transcendence. Transcend your mind's limitations and allow your soul's light to truly shine. Well, that's exactly what it is. It's taking time out and not being worried about all of the to-dos and all of the everybody else needing something from you, and focus instead on allowing your soul's light to truly shine. How do we do that? By reconnecting. So there you go. My job here is done. Mic drop, right? I don't need to go any further with that. Waning Crescent. So this is the last card pull, the last few days before the next new moon cycle, and it's happening from the 12th to the 15th. So it's bringing us right into the middle of August. And what do we have here today? Another 7, the 7 of Pentacles. 7 of Pentacles, I love this card because it is a card of reaping rewards. It is a card of understanding, okay, the harvest has come in. I'm liking the harvest. It's understanding, okay, yay for the harvest. And now there's got to be a little bit of strategy in the mix around how do I bring in the harvest? How do I pick all of the apples off of the tree? I can't do it all by myself. I'm going to need to, get some help. I might need to hire some people. Do I have enough baskets to, cart and crate and carry all of these apples? What am I going to do with all of these apples? How many of them am I going to store for later? How many of them am I going to sell? How many of them am I going to donate? How many of them am I going to use in other products that I'm going to sell? Apple pies, and apple fritters and, things of that nature, applesauce. So 7 of Pentacles says it's great news, and that great news leads you to the next layer of work, the next layer of what is to come. So in this sort of 3-ish to 4-ish day window, the 12th to the 15th, it's really kind of honoring, celebrating what has come through, sitting in the magnitude of the success or the magnitude of what is all in front of you, and calling in your guides for help around the strategy to being able to get in to make use of what is here. So there's strategy is what I keep hearing. Strategy. It's interesting because strategy is usually a swords sort of thing. But I'm hearing that here for Pentacles. And what do we know about Pentacles? Thoughts have become a thing. The thought has manifested itself into the real, into the physical. And now what are you going to do with it? So I want to say, sometimes be careful what you wish for because it comes true. I feel that there's also a little message here in that. Be careful what you wish for because it has now come true, and you're going to face the consequences, good, bad, or ugly. You're facing the consequences of what you've manifested. And now there's the next step. What are you going to do with all of that? I keep hearing the word lazy. So I want to say this is not a time to be lazy. This is not a time where the universe is going to allow you to be lazy. This is going to be a time, because you had that time. You just took that time to recharge. And now it makes sense while we got the 2 of Swords and that clear message about tuning out and recharging, because now you're strategizing because you're about to step into that next cycle where there's a little bit of work involved. All right, guys, that is our new moon musings for our July 17th new moon. Sending everyone so much love. I hope you're able to really step into the energy of these messages, because these messages are here to make it better, are here to make your life, I want to say, a little bit easier, to be a little more in the know, a little more preparedness for what's coming up. I just want to drop a quick little fun thing before we go. And by the way, feel free to like, subscribe, and click the bell on my YouTube. It helps. Every click helps. I have created a new membership. It is called Tarot Intuitively. Learn or deepen your tarot practice the fun way. And I am going to be dropping some really cool little tidbits coming up. This is going to be a great way. If you love the tarot and you're like, I can't seem to learn it on my own and I don't understand it, it's so overwhelming. This is going to be a great way for you to learn it, having fun, It's very practical in the way that we approach it. And practical doesn't sound like fun, but it's practical from the perspective of, I always believe in practical application. So what good is the guidance that comes through if we can't practically apply it to our lives? And that's what is happening. And one of the biggest features of this Tarot Intuitively is our Three of Cups gathering, wine and tarot. Don't worry if you're not a winette like me. That's okay. You're still going to get a lot from the community, but it is a wonderful live event where we get to sip a little wine and talk tarot and have all your questions answered. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I'm really excited. I haven't picked a date when I'm releasing it yet, so that's why I can't give you a specific date, but I'm very excited about it. Take care, guys. Have an amazing new moon cycle, and we'll see you next time.